So what had happened was 1 o'clock this afternoon, we have a cousin from, I guess 2 o'clock. He's supposed to speak about our history from Africa, where we started from to the United States. He's actually didn't come because he had eye surgery, and it's kind of pushed off. So what we want to do is try to do it telephonically and have him call in and record his conversation, because I think he has a great amount of knowledge of information everybody likes to hear. Outside of that, what we want to do is have some presentations. Some from the family members today about specific historical events in the family. Also, we have a young lady who's going to talk about essential oils. We have a discussion about taxes, entrepreneurship. We're going to end up with a male and female kind of empowerment session where we can break off for a short time and just speak to these individual groups about specific things relative to the family. Part of this is to really get the family together like we are right now. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to do it live. But more specifically, I can tell you right now that Phyllis here had a situation late last year, and so did another cousin. And we see stuff every time we turn the TV on, every time we look at social media, something's happening dramatically. And what we need to do, I thought, as a family is actually come together, understand who we are, understand our importance to each other, and grow from that point. So we're going to get this thing moving in a few minutes. We do have some discussions also about these quotes you see to the right of it. And I think we'll start from that point. We do so have a dietitian that will speak to us, because in our research that we've done, we found that Moses' family has an issue with cardiovascular situations. So I found a tremendous amount of heart attacks, cardiovascular disease, and high blood pressure. So we have a dietitian that will speak to that. Hope that will help us live better lives and actually, help out succeeding generations get better also. So at that point, I'd like to introduce the dietitian first. Celine, what we have to do is also, we're going to hit at 4 o'clock today. Come back at 6 o'clock for the social hour, our cocktail hour, which is going to lead into our banquet. So the goal is to finish up about 4 o'clock, get right some time, go home, get refreshed, come back at 6. And we have another program set for that at 6 o'clock. And I apologize, I didn't get your name. Okay. Yeah, Milton, I apologize.
I'd like to say hello to everyone. It's so good to see family unity together. That means a lot to me. Family is very, very, very important. I love my family, and when I see family together, it just blesses me. I'm here to do a presentation on cardiovascular disease. A disease is very well known all over America. So what I'll be dealing with today is cardiovascular. I'm going to switch over here where the computer is so that I can get closer to my slide, and we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease today. Just wanted to let you know, all over America, there's people being affected with heart diseases and heart attacks, and they happen so often and so rapidly, and they come about because of what we put into our mouth. What we put in our mouth is so very, very important. We feel like we can eat whatever's out there. And let me tell you, merchants are packing up everything new nowadays. When you go to the grocery store, you find so many new ideas. And they let you know that there's a new food in, especially when you go to the Sam's store, you see that they have a new food they get ready in intake. Just because it's a new food doesn't mean it's new for you and it's good for you. So cardiovascular disease is on the rise, and we want to try to do something about that. We're working with the Center for Disease Control, and they're now saying that women is having problems with cardiovascular disease, and also more so than that with breast disease. and over about 71 billion adults have been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease. We don't want to be diagnosed with cardiovascular disease. So what I want you to do, I want you to touch your heart. Everyone in the room, I want you to touch your heart. And I want you to say to your heart, I love you. And I want to give you what is needed for you. So that I can be healthy. Think healthy. Be healthy. And just do all I can for you. Now remember, in this heart, you don't have but one. So whatever you do for this heart, can you hear me? Whatever you do for this one heart is what's going to last for you. So if you want to put all these other things in the heart that's not good for the heart, then that's when our problems arise. I'm just showing you a preview of what's happening when we put these different things into our heart. Our heart is very important. We have heart disease, coronary artery disease. I'm showing you a picture of a normal heart. And since you love your heart, you already told your heart that you love your heart. This is what it looks like when the heart is blocked. Partially blocked. It ain't always blocked. Sometimes when you go to the doctor, he may say it's 90% blockage, or he may say it's a 30-50% blockage. If it's like 90%, we run into some really serious problems. We run into where it's hard to breathe. And once your heart is clogged up, you know how it's clogged up is when it gets to the point you can't breathe. These are problems we run into. We may have some chest pain, we may be nauseated, lighthearted, sweating, fast heart rate, shortness of breath. And these are things that will run you into the doctor's office very rapidly. Because you're in there trying to do all you can for that heart to get back in line. So they may have to do something with that heart to get that heart back in line. And once they get that heart back in line, you feel better. So let's why not do something with that heart while we can. While we're walking and while we're eating and while we can do those things, let's work with that heart and make a change in that heart so we won't have to have the blockage in the heart. And one of the things about our heart, we have to give it what it needs. Like if your body tells you to rest, get some rest. If it tells you you're sleeping, get some sleep. If it tells you to sit down, sit down. Don't overdo it. Don't try to put more on the heart than the heart can do. Some people have problems with their blood pressure. Your blood pressure is very important. They want that value 120 over 80. Some people have a problem with their blood pressure. It may be 90 over 60, which is low blood pressure and something needs to give. So if we're having some problem with high blood pressure, the diastolic, which is that bottom figure, systolic, which is that top figure, there's some problems when that top figure gets very high as well as the bottom get high, and it causes blood pressure problems. There are stages in the blood pressure problem. If your blood pressure is elevated, it may be 120 to 129. If the blood pressure in stage 1, 130 to 139. Stage 2, 140 or higher. And we're looking at that bottom figure. Now when that happens, you yourself have overpressured that good heart that you love. That good heart that you want to give it all you can to keep you going on in life. So the way we have to do it, food plays a great factor in our heart. So what if we feed that heart? That's what our heart will be. And the only way to prevent that heart disease is following a regimen that is good for your heart. And that regimen calls for a lot of plant food instead of a lot of animal products. Right now, I'm even telling my clients, let's try to go one meal without some meat. We love meat. Meat is good to us. It tastes good. We've been eating it all our lives. But if we can try to slow walk that meat, it makes a big difference in our lifestyle. Heart disease, excuse me, y'all. I'm getting track of this. Cardiovascular risk factors. If we're having blood pressure problems, smoking, diabetes, don't do no exercise, we got weight problems, stress, all these factors can cause us to have some coronary artery diseases. And he already said we have a family history of some heart problems. So since we know we have the family history, we have to work with that stress level. Don't allow anything to stress us out. Try yourself to bear with it as long as you can and try to do what you need for that body. If you know you're going through a stressful time, maybe after you take a test, let's do some exercise after the test so your mind won't continue to think about the test and think about that over and over, or think about your problem, think about your situation, but to think about the ways that you can help build that heart up and still make that heart be able to go. Diabetes is very important. You have to look at your body 24 hours a day with diabetes. That's what it's calling for. A, you're working with the arteries. B, you're working with your blood pressure. C, the cardiovascular disease. It goes all the way to Z with the blood. You got to do your eyes, you got to do the delicate, you got to do the circulation, you got to do the blood. Everything in your body when you diagnosed with diabetes. It pretty much turns your body another way. So since you know that you have diabetes, it's very important that you check those blood figures. We're having a problem with people now, they don't want to check their blood sugar. So if you want to check your blood sugar, you got to find a route that you can keep your blood sugars in control. And back again to me is to try to eat right and gain control about diabetes. But once that problem has appeared, it messes with our nerves. It damages our nerves to the point that sometimes we may have to do something about that nerve because there's so much pain when that diabetes nerve pain is there. It's so painful that people just can't counter take it and they're running back and forth to the doctor doing all he can. But if something has to be done, so say something has to be done, they may do something that we may not want to do, but the pain is so severe that we say, go ahead and do what you have to do. Diabetes works with the eyes, sometimes you have to wear vision. When you have those symptoms of feeling hungry, when you're thirsty, frequent urination, all those kind of things will run you to the doctor's office. And that kind of thirst is a thirst that you can't get rid of. No matter how much you drink, you still thirsty. Those symptoms that's going to run you to the doctor's office and see what's going on. If you're hungry, you just ate a big meal and you're ready to eat another one in about 30 minutes. If you're doing a blurred vision, some of those symptoms is causing you to want to try to get into the doctor's office. Once the doctor get into the doctor's office, you want to do a test to see what is going on with your body. Sometimes they tell you it may be pre-diabetes. Let me tell you, if he say pre-diabetes, work with it just as hard as you can so it will run into diabetes. But once it runs into diabetes, your body's telling you, I gotta look at you every day, 7 days a week. When your foot begin to hurt, you gotta make sure no nails, no things on the foot. They ask you not to go barefoot. They ask you not to wear colorful socks so they can see the soles and stuff. They ask you not to have a lot of sweating and stuff around the foot and stuff, making sure that you're taking care of your diabetes. How many of you do some exercise? Good, good, good. Do we do it at least 30 minutes, at least 3 times a week? 30. Wonderful one. I love my mama. Good. So since we do some exercise, then another thing we want to do is the rich factor is the high-fat food. And let me tell you one thing about the high-fat food. You know what they do to us? They taste so good. You cannot do anything with it because it does something to the taste when you put it in your mouth. My grandma, my mama, my sister, my aunt, my cousin, oh man, they cook some good food. And I know y'all gonna have some good food here today. So when we eat this good food, we got to still think about our heart and make sure that our heart is pumping and giving the best that we can to our heart. And blood pressure, I told you about the blood pressure. And what I want to do at this moment, I want somebody to pair up with a partner. I want you to get you a partner and just pair up with it. I want you to come to your wrist and I want you to feel your wrist. And I want you to make sure that person next to you is getting 72 beats with that person's beat. I want to make sure you get 72. So I'm just asking you to just pair up with a person, which is not going to take long. And we're going to make sure that they get 72 beats. Okay? And when you're not finished, just raise your hand. And 1 minute. Who got time? Somebody got to watch me. I'm going to tell you when it goes. I'm going to tell you when it starts. I want you right now to put your hand on that person's wrist. Ready, set, start counting. Stop. Okay, did we get some good heart rates? Did we get some good pulses? That wasn't me. Sorry, y'all, I got to redo it. Okay, whatever you get, multiply times 4. Did you get anybody get close to 7? Anybody get close to 72? I see my friends over there. Anybody get close to 72? Okay, that's a good way to monitor that pulse and make sure that heart is healthy. The next one is we want to deal with there are 10 causes of death in the United States, and heart disease is one of those causes. And if you know the kidney diseases and stuff are down north, and they're down north because they don't cause so much problem as the heart disease. So the next thing I want to tell you is 80% of those people that got heart disease, it can be prevented. It's prevented on what you eat. Another thing is that eat right is going to control the heart, control your blood pressure, control your diabetes. They are very important things. Another is, let's help beat that heart disease. I love my heart, but let's help beat it. Another thing is for big heart disease, look out for what you eat. Make sure you get the grain products, products, milk, and all that. Another thing is the 10 bones and the shows about the aspirate and also the heart disease about 3 minutes. And then we go into the fat, the 3 types of fat, the trans fat, the saturated fat, the unsaturated fat. Saturated fats and unsaturated, the unsaturated fats is what you want to get to. The trans fat, the ones with all those cases, it's going to be a problem. Saturated is going to be a problem too. So another thing, the saturated, these are the types of saturated, these are types of the foods that are unsaturated for you. And then another thing, good fat, bad fat. I love my pizza, but it may not be you love the pizza. What's on your plate, make sure half your plate will fit the bedroom, and this is what the plate should look like. And then 2, making sure again this is good fat and what's going on with the body. And whatever you put in your body is what you eat. Diabetes, nutrition placement is very important. Making sure that you get food from vegetables. Now that the farmer's market is having all these products on sale, it's best to get to the farmer's market and get you some of those good products that's got a lot of benefits and stuff. I do have some worksheets, so if you want to sheets to read on in this spare time, I do have you copy. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I hope everybody enjoyed that informative information that was the heart. And hopefully y'all got something out of that that you can take forwards. Next, we're going to have, also, we have something to drink in the back. You know, the thirsty, we have water, juice, and snacks in the back for those who have a need for it. Next presenter will be Ms. Louise Megan. She's going to present some quilts and how the quilts actually relate to our ancestry and to history. So, pay attention. It's going to be worth it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for having me today. This is my brother-in-law. Oh, no, this is mine. So, I do lots of different crafts. I'm a knitter, I'm a crocheter, I make jams, you name it, I'm sort of a jack of all trades. And so recently, within the last 2 years, I've started quilting. And didn't really know the significance of quilting when I started, but it was something that my mother did and my grandmother did. And so I've done some investigating and found some things out about quilting. So I wanted to share some of that with you because it really does relate to our history. Are there any quilters in the room? I don't want quilts like this. So are there any quilters in the room? Can I get a show of hands? Yes, I have one back here. So I'm going to ask you a question. For my quilter, Is there any particular reason that you may make quilts?
Yes, to tell a story, to give a message.
All right, so she makes quilts actually to tell a story. I generally, anybody else here that's a quilter? Okay. I generally make quilts because I get somebody on my heart. I made my brother-in-law a quilt about a year ago. Just something that I get somebody on my heart, I want to give them something that's from me. I make baby quilts. Now, if you think way back when people made quilts, lots of times those quilts were made because we needed them to keep ourselves warm. But as she said, quilts also tell a story. Now, I'm going to share with you some quilts from my family, and then we're going to talk about quilts from the Underground Railroad. And I actually have an Underground Railroad quilt that we're going to go over what the different quilt squares mean. So my assistant, my daughter Rayma, she actually got me back into quilting. We actually quilted with a lady I live in Charlotte now, so in the Charlotte area, she's teaching us how to quilt. So if you guys would hold this one up, this quilt was actually made by my mother. Now my mom was born in 1924, and this is my sister's quilt. And as you can see, quilts are generally done in squares. This is probably a half-log cabin quilt. So that's one particular quilt that's of significance to my family. Okay, I'd like to show you. Now this quilt right here was made by my grandma Molly. Now my grandmother Molly was born in the 1800s, in the late 1800s. So this is also a half-log cabin quilt. My aunt, who's now 84, has this quilt, and we happened to go to her house yesterday, and she said she just took it off the bed. So this quilt was a very important part of our family, but that's called a half-log cabin. I have one more of my family's quilts that I wanted to show. And that's this one right here. Now this is also made by my grandmother. It's tattered, but this again is made by my grandma Molly. So this would probably be from anywhere from late 1800s, 1900s, early part of. And you'll see, actually you can see some of the cotton coming through the quilt. When our ancestors made these quilts, they actually went out and they would pick the cotton, and then they would take the cotton back into their homes, and they would clean the cotton to get all the seeds, and they would get all of the leaves and things out of the cotton, and then they would layer it. It's much easier now for us to make quilts than it was for them to make quilts, but these quilts were used to keep them warm. So that's what that, and if you build that quilt, it probably weighs almost 20 pounds. It's very, very heavy. I forgot to show one thing on the quilt that we had before, if you guys don't mind, just putting that one down and showing that one again. When these quilts were made, they were made from whatever fabrics were around. It could have been mom's old dress, it could have been grandpa's old dress, so they had all sorts of significance. But the back of this quilt is actually from feed sacks. You can see where they bleached out those feed sacks, and it actually has the name of the company that the feed was actually in on the back of the sack. So this is a really, really old quilt, and so that's more how those quilts were made. Thank you, guys. I want to show you two other ones. Hold on. The ones that are in the chair. Now, Rayma and I also do quilts from Quilts of Valor. So this is a quilt that my daughter made. I don't know if any of you know the significance of Quilts of Valor. But Quilts of Valor are actually made for anyone that has served in the military. And we, the lady that we quilt with, has a grant, and so she buys all the materials. We donate our time, and again, we're in Union County, right outside of Mecklenburg, and so we spend our time making the quilts, and then we give them as a gift to anyone in the military. The first time we gave out quilts, it was for Vietnam veterans. We just had recently a gentleman that was 100 years old that had served in World War II, and he got his quilt. So we just basically pull their names out of a jar and we give those quilts out. My daughter actually got me into this. And so she started doing with Quilts of Valor. So that's actually one of her quilts that I still need to finish. Okay? The last one in the chair over there. And again, quilts were generally done in squares, and then they're put together, they're pieced together. This quilt is called the Snail's Trail, so if anybody quilts, this is for my other daughter. She loves the beach, and a couple years ago, she picked out this fabric, and so I've been working on this quilt for a couple years now, almost finished, just have to put the binding on it, but you can see the waves in the quilt. So quilts for me were significant because the person I'm making it for, it's also utilitarian because it's to keep people warm. It's because, you know, the Lord laid somebody on my heart and I just want to bless them. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about, and you guys can put that one away, is this quilt right here. Now, this is primarily what we're going to spend the rest of our time discussing. This is called an Underground Railroad quilt. Now, you know that if anybody is familiar with what the Underground Railroad, anybody want to speak to what that was? Well, the Underground Railroad helped slaves escape to freedom. Generally, think of slaves escaping to freedom. They were going up north to Canada, and that's where you were free. Also, very early on, you could also be free in Florida. So sometimes slaves that were in the deeper south would leave from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and go down to parts of Florida. We have family members that are down there, but also going up to Canada. So I'm going to go through, generally there were 10 quilts, and when you saw that snail trail quilt, it had all those blocks in it. Every single one of those quilt blocks was the same. So when you would have a quilt for the Underground Railroad, each one of the blocks in the quilt would be the same. And you would put those quilts out in sequential order. So I'm going to talk about sort of what the sequential order of the quilts are. So the first quilt that would have been made is called the monkey wrench. This is what the monkey wrench block looks like right here. So you would have had a quilt, and the whole quilt would have been this one pattern. The significance of the monkey wrench pattern was to let the people on the plantation know it was time to prepare. This is a tool. This tool could be used to make a wagon or anything like that, or to repair a wagon. This is what letting you know it was time for you to start preparing yourself mentally and physically to leave the plantation. This is the monkey wrench. The second quilt that would have been made, and one thing I just want to mention, the Underground Railroad quilts were displayed on the plantation you were leaving. They were not displayed along the way as you were making it. You had to memorize what the significance was of each one of these quilts. And that's something that you would have talked to your child about. And so you would have known that and kept that in your mind. So the monkey wrench was the first one. The second one is called the wagon wheel. It's sometimes referred to as a Dresden plate. This looks like a wheel. This is saying it's time to get ready to travel. So that's the significance of this one. So that would have been your second one. The third one that you would see is this one right here. This is called the bear cloth. This was saying once you got, off the plantation, you needed to be able to get to fresh food and fresh water. You would follow the bear's tracks. We knew the significance back then of following the animals because they could lead you and keep you safe. So that's the bear cloth. Okay? Let's see what's my next one here. Oh, the one I find so interesting. Okay, you guys are going to have to hold it up a little higher. That was this one. This one right here in the corner. All right, this is called the drunkard's path. So when you left the plantation, you were not to go in a straight line because it's easy for somebody to follow you. You would walk in a straight line from one point to the other. If you think about somebody that's drunk, they're bobbing and weaving, but they're going to get where they're going. Well, it's hard for somebody to follow you if you go in a circular path. So that was the importance of the drunkard's path. Okay, so that would have been the fourth one. So, and you have to think about whoever the slave was that was in the big house. That would have been the person that would be asking permission to put those quilts out. Because that first quilt may have been on the line. Back then, didn't have a washing machine to wash those quilts. You would hang them out on the line and you beat them out and you let them air out. Well, you had a quilt on the line for 3 or 4 weeks. And so as people saw that quilt, they would share them among one another. They would sing songs in the field about those quilts. And so even if you weren't in a position that you might be able to see the quilt out on the line, you would hear the songs, and that was the information that was passed from one person to the other. So that was the drunkard's path. Okay, the other one that I find really significant, and I have to look at him, I'm doing it upside down. It's this. This is called the bow tie. The bow tie or an hourglass. It has two different significances. So if you look at this right here, this red, that actually looks like an hourglass. This is telling you that time is coming near for you to be ready to leave the plantation, for you to be able to move on. Okay? If you look at it sideways, this looks like a bow tie. When the slaves were actually on the plantations, they were generally in tattered rags. They weren't in nice clothes. Well, when they actually left the plantation, in order for them to be able to fit in with the people around them, because lots of times on the Underground Railroad, it was free blacks that were helping them. It wasn't just abolitionists. It was other free blacks. You wanted them to be able to fit in. So they would provide them with fresh clothes so that they could fit in with the people that were already free. Okay? So that's the bow tie. Okay, so the next one that you would see would be the North Star. And that's down here in this one. So, it's okay. The North Star was telling them the direction they needed to go. You want to go north to freedom. So this North Star is telling you to go north. The other one that's very similar to that is going to be this. This pattern is called the flying geese. The geese fly north when they're migrating from in the spring. So they go south in the winter to the warmth. They're going back north in the spring. And so this is telling you, again, follow the animals because they know which way to go. So that's what the flying geese is. Okay, the other one that you want to look for is called the log cabin. And this is the log cabin that's right here in the middle. This is the safe house. When you leave the plantation, you want to find a place that's safe for you to rest and get food as you're making your journey. So you wanted to look for this quilt right here. This is called a log cabin. And I showed you the ones from my grandmother, which I was in tears when I saw her quilt yesterday because I saw that she had been making that, way back then in 18 whatever. And it was just so wonderful for me. So this is the log cabin. The other one is this right here. It's called the crossroads. Now the crossroads, you've gotten off the plantation, you've done all that journey, and basically this would represent the Cleveland, Ohio area, because when you got to that area, you got to the Great Lakes, you had to make a decision. Am I going to cross over into Canada to freedom, or am I going to try to stay in the United States, where I could potentially be caught by a slave catcher, a paddy roller, the precursor to our police officers patrolman, and be taken back to the slave state that I came from. So you had to come to that crossroads, and we've all been to a crossroads in our life, so we had to make a decision to go forward and go back. This is what this represented. The other one is called, where is it down here? This one down in the bottom here is called a shoe fly. Now on the Underground Railroad, they were conductors. Those were the people that helped you with safe passage. And this is what the shoe fly represented. So if you think about it, it would have been someone like Harriet Tubman or any of the abolitionists in our area. The Quakers would have been the most significant people that would have helped you on the Underground Railroad. So that's what this represents. So that really is all of the different quilt patterns. Now there are a few extra ones that are on here. This is called a carpenter square. For the slaves, the great carpenter was Jesus. And so that's what that represents. It necessarily would not have been a quilt that would have been displayed as one of the quilts telling you to leave the plantation. This square right here is actually called the Underground Railroad pattern. So it would not have been part of the Underground Railroad, that sequential order of quilts that would have been displayed. It would have not necessarily been in there. So that one, and let's see, there's one other one. This one down here at the bottom, it may have been one that would have been in there that we've got it upside down now, but this would have been like a bread basket, telling you if it was possible for you to have food and water when you left the plantation. That is something you would wanted to have prepared and taken with you. So I just wanted to let you guys, and thank you very much for helping me with this way.
Next, we're also going to have Mr. Eddie Moses.
I don't know how to start this. This is new to me. I'm not a talker. So I don't know where to start, really. I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad to see all of my relatives and friends here as well. But you heard a couple of people up in this podium who are speakers. These people are trained to speak. I'm not a speaker. I've lived a long time, but I've never been a very good talker. And I hope you all will bear with me just a minute. I want to thank everybody who is here for coming to this family reunion. And I've heard some names I never heard before, but I'm glad to have you here with me. I don't know what I make the next one, but I've made 101 of them. I appreciate your asking me to talk, but I apologize for not being able to be I'm not an artist. I'm not a public speaker at all. So you have to just bear with me for a minute, or half a minute, if you will. Yeah. So I want to thank my son for starting this. I'm afraid one time it's going to have an impact on the family reading, the Moses family reading that we already had. But when I realized this thing is really expanded, because the family reunion that we had for the last 25, 30 years was limited to my grandfather and his family. But this one is spread out to his siblings and their family. This is really interesting. I met a lot of people that I didn't know, relatives I didn't know I had, some that I did. But anyway, thank you all for coming, and bear with me for thank you for bearing with me for the last couple of minutes or so. So enjoy the rest of your stay here.
So we said a couple more things. I know everybody's asking about shirts, so we'll take care of that before y'all leave at 4 o'clock today. Next we have another cousin, Charles Ice, who will come up and share a little disrespect on Anthony Charles.
Good evening, family and friends. You know, I'm glad to be here, which reminds me of George Burns. He was attending some kind of affair, and I believe George was around 93 years old. Someone asked him, "Mr. Burns, are you glad to be here this evening?" And George said, "At my age, I'm glad to be anywhere." And so I feel sort of like that this evening. At my age, I'm glad to be anywhere. But most of all, I'm glad to be here celebrating this family reunion with my family and friends. Yeah. God is good. He brought us safely over the highways and byways. And I'm just looking out at all of you beautiful people. Some of you I knew already. But the fun thing was last night I got to meet some that I did not know. And I didn't know I had so many beautiful relatives. But God is good. My name is Charles Osler. I was born in Goldsboro, North Carolina, but I was raised in Richmond, Virginia. I am married to the beautiful, fabulous, young at heart, Nanny Eisler. Before I changed her name, she was a Stevens. We have 4 sons and 1 daughter. Charles Anthony, Charles Maurice, William Eugene, Michael Lamont, and my daughter Sandra, who has not arrived yet. We have 9 grandkids and 5 great-grandchildren. I have many nieces and nephews and cousins and a host of relatives here today. So don't mess with me, I'm well protected. I am the son of Beulah Moses Eisler, and also Lana Eisler is my father. I am the grandson of Henry Moses and Amy Ann Rayner. I jotted down a few things, but most of the stuff I know off the top of my head. I am the great-grandson of Ephraim and Sarah Moses, and the great-great-grandson of Alan and Nettie Moses. Grandpa Henry was something else. He was the benefactor of 2 marriages. I believe first he was married to Eliza Sasser, and I think that they had 5 or 6 children, and 5, so Eddie knows more about this than I do, but just from some of my research, I believe it was Ephraim, Jesse, John, Daniel, and Henry. And Daniel and Henry, who was my grandfather, were twins. And in his second marriage was to my grandmother, Amy Ann Rayner. And in that union, there were 9 children. I believe Wallace, Leroy, Sarah, Elizabeth, Beulah, William, Studi, Daniel, and George. Now I see where some of these names come from. They were already in their family line. I am one of 6 siblings. It seems like yesterday when a small group of us who were direct descendants from Henry Moses came together and formulated the Moses-Rayner Sasser reunion. It all happened when my wife, Nan, and I were vacationing in New York City. And it dawned on me while we were there that I had some first cousins in New York that I hadn't seen in over 30 years. So I looked into a public phone book and discovered the phone number of Jenny Rich, who was one of my first cousins. She was the daughter of Leroy Moses, who was my mother's brother. I called the number and she, Virginia, answered the phone. I didn't know if I should call her Jen by her nickname or Bird by the name we used to call her when she was a teenager. And you talking about spirit, she hated that name. We called her Buzz. But I think I asked her to guess who I was, and she had no idea. I exclaimed, "This is Charles, your cousin from Richmond, Virginia." And she said, "You're kidding." I said, "No, this is me." And she invited us over to her house, and she gave us directions to her house. Now, you know how New York City is. Nervously, I fought the crazy traffic in New York until I arrived at her house. And lo and behold, I found there her husband and their children whom I had never seen. Her husband was Marvin Rich. He was a military man and had been in service for many years and had traveled extensively throughout the country. And I believe Jen was also traveling with him, and maybe the kids also. And the kids were Jeff, James, Gloria, and Brenda. And we got to meet them for the first time, and that was something. And her sister Liz, her sister Elizabeth, who we call Liz, was living in the same house. And her sister Thelma was living nearby in the same neighborhood. And boy, you talking about a jubilee, we had one. We all decided to come together the next year, which was 1983, and meet at Jen's house to have a family reunion. This was the humble and joyous beginning of our first family reunion. We have been meeting together every 2 years for fun, laughs, love, and enjoyment. Will you believe 34 years have gone by? Time passes fast when you're having fun. Now hopefully at this reunion and in the future, we can meet and fellowship with other relatives who are descendants of the siblings of Henry Moses. And Ed has already mentioned that, and this has really expanded our gathering because, like I said, at first we were just doing it from Grandpa Henry's direct line. And so this is a beautiful sight, and I'm excited about it. And I just hope that we will continue. But I do honor Ed Moses, my first cousin, who is our oldest living relative that we know of. And he has a great mind, great sense of humor. He can play just about any game. He beat up on my grandson in checkers some years ago. He even made him sick. I said, "Kwame, you told me that you were the best checker player around." I said, "You let Cousin Eddie do this to you?" No, but he called me at the wrong time, so, and he approached Eddie again, and Eddie did the same thing and sent him to bed. And so, I don't know if Kwame's here yet or not, but I know he remembers what happened. So anyway, I want you to know that I love each and every one of you, and I'm excited, and you're a beautiful bunch. And hopefully we can continue to come together and keep our Moses family alive. May God bless you, and I thank you.
Is anyone missing an earring? Okay. In about 5 minutes, we're going to have a relative from New Jersey calling Salim, and he's going to provide information from where we moved from Africa to Cuba. So if you just take a few minutes just to kind of get that together, if you have to take a bathroom break, please do so. I think you'll find that conversation kind of. Thanks a lot. We're still getting stressed together, so we'll pass them up. So you have them there. So we'll pass them up.
And then the other types of research that I did was African Americans in America, in particular, from the slavery days up until present. So that's what I'm going to actually talk about. So let me get the rolling. Also, I wanted to mention Victor's father. A special appreciation to him, because traditionally he would be known as the keeper of the knowledge, the keeper of the knowledge, the keeper of the history of the family. In the African societies, he would be known as a guru or a griot. And these keepers of society are known throughout the world, but they're particularly known in Africa for these brothers mainly, that they keep the family traditions and they pass it on from generation to generation. So I really want to appreciate our brother and keep him close to near you, and also get all the information that you can from him, because we need to keep that information and pass it on. How I came to know this family, the Moses family, is through a cousin of ours. Her name is Shante Webb. And Shante Webb really is the daughter of Cindy Webb. And Cindy Webb's mother is Irene Wooten Webb, and her mother is Viola Wooten Webb, and Wooten Moses Webb. And then her mother is Dora Wooten Moses, who happened to be Tony's father's first cousin. So that's the line. That's the family line. So one of the Irene's daughter, Cindy, called me and said, we got some cousins down south, and you need to go and research the information for that. So that's how I came probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and we really had some wonderful conversations, talking, and the timing probably wasn't right for us up here. I had all intended to come. However, I had an issue with my eye, some cataract surgery, and then it was canceled, and then it was on again, it was canceled again, it was on again, and I still haven't gotten the surgery on my eye, but nevertheless, we're kind of here, and we're going to try to do the best that I can to give you the information as accurate as possible, as I can, with regards to our situation, African Americans, and in particular our family. One of the things that whenever we do the research, we should look at specifics. We have to look at evidence, right? The evidence can be a hard copy, it can be a verified work, pictures, or what have you. And then you can take that information and you still don't present it, you kind of compare it and weigh it against whatever else you have. And then you're ready to, once you cross your T's and dot your I's with that information, then you can begin to present it in such a way that it won't leave people hanging, and people can get a whole lot more out of them, then they can begin to do their research as follows. So the next thing that I want to really talk about is this idea of where do we think we come from with regards to our Moses family. There were some issues about, you come from Barbados, you come from Jamaica, and you come from any other place other than Africa. We don't want to really identify. And we kind of know that because of some false information, some false history about Florida and Canada. So the reason why I said it's highly unlikely that we came from Barbados or even Jamaica, right? One of the facts that Jamaica was a colony of England until 1962, right? So you think that we come from Jamaica, it would be highly impossible because you're in a colony, right? You're in a colony, you're not really part of the Americas. And Jamaica had its own issues with regards to what was needed to work the land. Primarily cane to make rum and just hard labor. And in addition to that, we wasn't even a colony. We wasn't even considered as property, but we wasn't the property of America. In England, they were property of England. You know what I mean? So the Jamaican information that we kind of had, like there's no evidence. In addition to that, Jamaica was part of what's called the West Indies Federation. The West Indies Federation was Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, again, right? And they were all colonies of England. So to have a child get on a ship, right, to come to America from another country is highly unlikely, and there's really, really no evidence in that. So you say, well, we didn't come from Barbados, and if we didn't come from Jamaica, then where we come from? And that's where this DNA, the African ancestry DNA, comes into play. And it's very, very important because even though we have records of our landing here in the Americas, there have been very little records of history kept of where we actually come from. The Africas, the West Africans, most likely, highly likely. We already have no evidence of that, no documents. We do have some traditions. You have to recognize those traditions when we see them. Some of the traditions are music, which has always lasted. The music of the spirituals, with the rhythms, the music of the instruments, such as the banjo, the drums, most likely, highly likely, the guitars, the chorus, the pianos, some of the woodwind instruments, flutes, and also all these are indigenous to Africa. And in the churches, where we have the traditional rhythms of the hand clapping and call and response, that is right out of West Africa. Countries like Senegal, Gambia, Ghana, South Africa, these are all some of the things that was brought over to the Americas during the slave period. Also, the types of clothing that we see our brothers, and it's no downplay on the brothers because, we love our bright colors, our blues and our reds, and our yellows and our light blues and white shoes, white hat. This is also something that's indigenous to Africa because we are people that love colors. Different types of colors. And even sisters, a lot of times, and this is no play, you say, man, you show our country, right? Because we wear all these bright colors and all that kind of stuff. But that's an African thing. And it's not, no other people dress like this. And also the dances. Nobody on the planet dances like black folks. And nobody likes to party like black folks either. And all these cultural innuendos came over on the passage. And also not to mention the food. The food like cornbread and okra and watermelon and corn. For the most part, men and women were brought to the southern part of the United States to do the hard labor and to plant not just tobacco and cotton, but also various types of food that they were used to back home. And it took a skillful farmer. So they would go into areas like Nigeria, for example. And the Nigerians were the group of people, were the Igbo people. And the Igbo people were outright stone-like farmers. And the slave master would give a little bit more to the other slave master, the slave owner, or the tradesperson, was Igbo, because he was known that an Igbo could plant and seed. In addition to that, they were on a period of snatch and grab. Snatch and grab wherever they could, men, women, and children, no matter what the status. So a lot of the Africans that came over on the passage, many of them had skills. Doctors, medicine men, farmers, carpenters, all types of skills. But when we get the information from a called the Eurocentric point of view, they said that we were savages and they brought us religion to stay the common savage beat and what have you. But what those countries, and I'm going to name the countries, Great Britain, Portugal, Spain, little countries, Belgium, Italy, Germany, and France. These were the major players in the slave trade, right? And moving fast forward to today, slavery brought in more money than any other commodity or any other trade to the Europeans during that time than any other trade, any other business. And everybody profited, right? So this might be some information that you may know, you may not. So everybody profited. The insurers profit from it. Most of them were Jews, right? The shipbuilder, he profited from it. Because he provided work for the carpenters and the shipbuilders, and most definitely the town folks profited from it. The mayor, the city hall, the city people, the politicians, and what have you. So it was a very, very viable business. And in the South, folks like to say that slavery was only indigenous to the South, but it was also in the North too. Especially up in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. right? So slavery thrived in these areas here. So when you hear like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth wanting to bring our brothers and sisters from the south to the north, sometimes they were met with slavery just as well. So, so the DNA, the African ancestry DNA, we use our geneticists, the AfricanAncestry.com, and the geneticists we used at the time, we still may be on board, is Rick Kittos, Dr. Rick Kittos, and the director is Gina Page. Gina Page. So how does DNA works? Talk about this very briefly. Is that you have two types, right? One for the male and one for the female. So a man could take either test, one to trace the root, to trace the DNA on the mother's side, or he can trace it on his father's side. Right? The woman can only trace it on the female side, meaning that if my mother, if my sister took the DNA, then she can trace her mother, my mother, her grandmother, her grandmother's mother, her aunts, and all the females in the family. On the other hand, if the male takes it, then the male can take, he can do a mother, right? And all the children. The grandmother and all her children. And the grandmother's mother and all her children, and the mother and all her children. They have the same DNA structure. Right. So in 2010, I believe, 2010 or 2011, I took the DNA test on my mother's side. Through a slobber, right, the cheeks from slobber, you give you two dispensers, you put it in the mail and you cut it off. And they will do the DNA results, readings for us, for you. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks, right? And when it came back, they give you a chart, they give you a chart of the reading, they give you the results, a scientific reading, X, Y, Z, D, and then they also give you a map and also give you a reading of where your family line most likely comes from.
Okay, nice to meet you. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, looking good. How you doing, sir? All right, nice to meet you. All right, yes, sir. I hadn't seen you in a while.
That old saying, black don't crack.
Hey, how about that?
It's real. Everybody look about 10 years younger than what they really are because of that.
That's exactly right. Met you yesterday. Yeah. I left here for my
Everyone in the room has made a sacrifice. They have purposed their lives to be here today, Father God, to embrace each other, to get to learn to know the extended family, and to get to know each other. For God, for it's all about family. For you designed family for purpose. You made family, Father God, because we are the community. We are the nations. We are the foundation of the world. Families is what make the world go round. And the enemy knows that, and that's why he's doing all he can to destroy the family. But I thank God for your love and your mercy, how you continue to keep your hands extended, Father God, so that we may know that you are the giver of families. You are the giver of life. You are the giver, Father God, of those who desire to thrive and grow in the spirit, Father God, of thanksgiving and love and unity and peace. And as Father God, as this family unit continues to soar, as we continue to link and unify ourselves together, we pray, Father God, your blessings and your mercies remain upon our lives, that we may continue to love and grow and want to be a part of each other. And I truly thank you, Father God, for our cousin Eddie Lee, who sit at the head of the helm. Father God, who is teaching us, who is sharing us more about the bridge that brought us over. And it's such a blessing, God, to have you in our midst so that we may even rejoice the more, to give you all the praise, all the glory. For it's in Jesus' name we come, and we say thank you. Amen.
Also, I have to acknowledge our guest speaker for tomorrow night, for tomorrow's service, and that's, Lord have mercy, I'm a little bit nervous here, Taylor. Mr. Roger Taylor, please stand up and take a bow and happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to us. And many more. Now, I had to do all of that to prepare myself to do a little things that I was asked to do. I obviously, everything didn't get to everybody, but we're going to do what we're going to do. We have letters that you will find in your booklets. We have a letter from Governor Roy Cooper, and he wants to thank everyone for being here, and he applauds us for taking the time to gather to renew our family ties. And he too agrees that strong families are very important. And on this special occasion, Christian and Governor Roy Cooper wish to celebrate the heritage of the Moses family that binds each of us together. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, we all can read, okay? And then we have a letter from Commissioner William Pate. He also wants to thank us for bringing the family reunion here, and he understands that the entirety of the human race and our consistent desire to create and maintain a lasting legacy is what we're all looking for. And so he too wants to thank us for bringing this reunion here to this county. On behalf of Wayne County Board of Commissioners, he extends his greetings to all of us and thanks you all for choosing this location for our family reunion. I am going to allow Mayor Pro Tem Ham to speak, but before I do that, I wanted to acknowledge all ministers who are in the house today. Can we have all ministers to please stand? All ministers, please stand. Thank you so much. Just wanted to make sure that you were recognized. I came in a little early due to this little problem right here. So I just want to know, are there any other dignitaries that I may have missed that we need to acknowledge here, because we are so grateful that you took the time to be with us today. Any other dignitaries here today? On that note, I'd like to introduce Mr. Commissioner Councilman Ham, who will come and bring us greetings from Mayor Chuck Allen.
Thank you. Mayor Allen asked me to represent him and the city of Goldsboro here tonight. He had another engagement that he had to go to. But his comments speak to the pleasure that we have in honoring this first family reunion, the Moses family reunion here in Goldsboro, and this fairly recent renovated facility. Speaking from, I said something to Ms. Lewis, and I want to give a personal comment about family reunions. This is the first family reunion of this family. And I understand there are 260 thereabouts people who are represented here, representing various 4 descendants of the family. I have a small family, much probably you could put in this corner right here. And we've been having family reunions on my mother's side for the last 50 years. We have it every September. And along the way, we've lost some of my mother's siblings, including my mother. But the bonds that we've developed over those years, which I assume and I surely expect there will be bonds created in this family reunion here that will last throughout the many years to come. We here in Goldsboro have moved forward in our city in terms of improving the city. Like I said, this facility here is about 3 years old as far as the renovation. And we're pleased that you're here. Let me ask you a question. All of those who are not living or from Goldsboro in the last 5 years, raise your hand, please. Wow. That's impressive. You know, give yourself a hand. Give yourself a hand for facing this as a priority in your life. Come from wherever you come. Understand we've got some folks here from New York. I don't know if this map here shows where you migrated from in terms of coming to live, not migrated in the sense that you came from. But you obviously, there's a lot of you obviously who have come here from out of Goldsboro. We hope you'll spend a little time here and get to know Goldsboro a little bit and hopefully come back. I'm a product of Goldsboro, Wayne County. Although I haven't lived here all my life, I was born and raised here. And I'm very proud to have come back here about 7 or 8 years ago and see our city, how it's changed over those actually changed really in the last 3 years. And I hope you'll come back and visit us more often, visit your kin, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and speak to you. I always enjoy family reunions. I'm not a politician. Except for being on the city council, but I enjoy gathering of people because I like to see the friendship, the harmonies that are built from you, people who have never seen each other for a long time, or ever for that matter. I'm sure a lot of you have never seen family members here before. I guarantee you there'll be a lot of emails going back and forth, telephone conversations, and a lot of text messages, Facebook and all that stuff. So thank you. Enjoy yourself. I'm going to enjoy the food here in a little while.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next we're going to have a motivational speaker.
I'm sorry, I apologize, nephew, I apologize. Okay, so next on the agenda actually was supposed to be a recognition from my good friend, Senator Don Davis. But before I do that, I'd like to ask all descendants of the Ephraim Moses, please stand. All right now. Y'all get a picture of that? Come on, y'all, Mr. Davis, come on. All right, that looks good. All right, y'all have a seat. All right. Let's see who's here from Daniel, one of the twins. Who's here from Daniel Moses? Huh? Oh, sorry, he didn't have any children. That's all right. Okay, all right. All right. We got the other twin. We got the other twin. Come on, Henry. Come on, Henry. All right, how about Jesse? Okay, well, I'm gonna let y'all sit down. Calm down. Okay, that was me. All right, how about Jesse? We got Jesse, we don't have. All right, that's okay. All right, wait a minute. Okay, we're not done. How about John? John. All right now. All right. Now I'm the filmer. I'm missing all of this. Okay. Last and not least, how about Mariah? I don't think Mariah didn't have any either. Oh, wait a minute. See? Say that again, please. Hey, all right, all right. So, okay, I'm done with that. Thank you all for indulging me in that. I appreciate that. And my good friend, Senator Donald Davis, could not be with us today. And I know that he would love to be here because this is his thing. So Senator Davis is asking us to continue our great struggles in being a unified family. And I know that if he had known that this was my family being recognized today, he would be here. I believe that in my heart and soul because I love him, he loves me, and he loves this community. I believe in my heart and soul he would have been here today. So on behalf of Senator Don Davis, thank you so much for coming and sharing your time here in Wayne County. Now, nephew, you got the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Truly it is a privilege and an honor to be afforded this opportunity to be here, to share in this Moses family celebration, to be here, to be afforded the opportunity to participate, to commemorate as you all just celebrate each and every part of the Moses family. I was looking on the program and I was shocked because I guess they fast forward me tonight. But that's fine because I love to talk and I got my wife right here. She knows how to throw the fishing rod out and reel me in. But as I was saying, I'm so excited to be able to participate in this great family reunion because, you know, we're living in a time where people don't get together like they used to. We're living in an era where people are just so busy, so many things going on, even within our own homes. There's like 4 or 5 different TVs. Nobody sits at the table together anymore. And I'm just excited to see people coming together, enthusiastic, pumped up, thoroughly immersed about their family.
Me too.
And just coming together to be excited, to come together and appreciate one another. You know, me and my wife, we teach at Deeper Life Church Ministries, and it may sound like I'm a minister because I am a minister, but one of the key things that I have learned is that the family is a very important, very important piece. And the family to me is like a fine automobile. Because when I look up the definition of family, it reminds me that a vehicle, God created the family as the most classic and awesome vehicle. Now, a vehicle is a compartment that you can put stuff in or put people in. It's propelled by some level of power or something with wheels that takes people or property or objects from one place to another. The family that God created is the vehicle that takes us through this journey that we call life. And it's very important that we take care of that vehicle, the family. You know, God gave me this little analogy, and you know, each family is its own family. There's different models of family. You know, I look at my family and I look at us, and I always say we're like the Ford F-150. You know, because I'm a big man, and so I'm big. My wife, no disrespect, she's a big woman. My son is big, my daughter's big. So we like double wides, you know, we just a big deal, you know. But one thing I learned about Ford is that F-O-R-D stands for fix or repair daily. Now my family, we're not perfect. And every now and then we have to come together to deal with some issues, have some drama, get together and situate some situations. But we like a Ford F-150, and we can can run smoothly. And I'm excited to see that the Moses family is running smoothly. Now, there's all kinds of cars in the world today. Sometimes some families can be like a Lexus. Let us come together. That's a very, 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 very fine automobile. And I believe God is looking down at the Moses family and saying, yeah, that's a very, 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 very fine automobile, the Moses. And so he is smiling because to see you all come together and to celebrate and to commemorate, you know, it took a lot. You know, there's one car that is so dependable. Everybody loves this vehicle. It's called a Honda Accord. And when you all get on one accord and operate smoothly, you become the best vehicle known to mankind, the family. Now, I like the Honda Accord. Now, you know a Honda Accord is a bad automobile. It's that standard car. We know that it's dependable, it's reliable, good gas mileage. Honda Accord. My wife, she got a Kia Optima. So you got to understand, the family is the key. And when y'all come together and you're running at optimum speeds and you're doing what you got to do, you make your family be the best that it can be. See, I realize that the family makes us be who we are. I love my family. And anybody that knows me, because I'm known for saying this, and I don't cut no punches, I love myself some of my family. Because my family makes me be the best me I can be. And one thing I understand about me, you can't beat me in being me. And how you gonna tell me that I'm wrong doing me? And doing me is what got me here. And since I'm me, let me be the best me I can be. Because I guarantee you can't beat me and being me. As long as I am with my family, that's what family does. It creates that you in you. The Moses family, a great generation, generations and generations of families coming together to celebrate, to love on one another, to appreciate who you all are. And you know, it wouldn't be me, but the preacher in me. You know, there's a scripture that I love in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 8. It says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. I am that is, I am that was, and I am that is to come. Then it says, I am the Almighty. And what God is saying is, I'm the culmination of all y'all put together. I'm in the, if I go down here, I'm in the Ephraim Moses, I'm in the Daniel Moses, I'm a part of the Henry Moses, I'm all Moses, and he's all of us. And so when we look at that scripture, we have to understand that God is saying there's nothing new under the sun. Yes. He's saying that I'm all y'all in a bag of salt and vinegar potato chips. I'm just like y'all, and he loves it when he sees y'all come together, excited, pumped up, loving on one another, being who you are and who you are supposed to be. The greatest asset that we have in society is family. And can't nobody stop the family when the family is together. You know, I think about the family, and one of these things that I always talk about when I talk is that the family creates what I call the 7 C's of life. And through these 7 C's, I see the Moses family being awesome. I've seen it just from hearing what I've heard today. The first C is care. Because somebody cares, it causes others to become concerned. Off of one person's care, somebody else becomes concerned. After somebody else becomes concerned, because you cared, it gives you confidence now. Because when somebody else becomes concerned about what you care about, and you got confidence now, you know what that does? What? Even though family sometimes have some bad times, it gives you courage. That's the next C. Y'all seen the Wizard of Oz with the line, put him on. Put you one hand behind my back. You want somebody to come on, put him on. Well, we all need that courage. The courage to endure. The courage to persevere. The courage to maintain, because everything ain't going to be happy. Everything ain't going to be tulips and olives. Everything is not going to be grapes and plums. But because somebody cared, somebody else became concerned, you got courage, and now you got confidence. And now that you got the confidence, which was the next seed, you know what that does? It causes you to become consistent. It makes you say, I'm going to be at the next family reunion. I'm going to be a part of the plan. I'm going to make this thing happen. And now that you got confidence, you know, and you got this consistency now. Y'all feeling them seeds?
Yeah.
Write it down. It's good. The next seed is you become committed, sold out for the family. There ain't nothing you won't do for your family. And then the last seed is Christ. But he said we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. These are the 7 seeds of life that are established in the family. And I just come to encourage you and to motivate you, because what you all are doing is a great and terrific thing. If I was Tony the Tiger, I'd say you all are great. Cornflakes. Y'all know y'all eat cornflakes. You got them in chocolate now. I love myself some cornflakes. But nevertheless, to the Moses family, I just want to say you all are doing something that is magnificent. Something that is great. And what I want to say is this. We're living in a time where we always talk about what matters. We say Black Lives Matter. Well, this is a serious matter. And I want you to look at your neighbor and I want you to say, neighbor, this is a serious matter. Now, I need for you to say it like you mean it. So I want you to look at somebody else and I want you to say, neighbor, oh neighbor, this is a serious matter. Now, what's the serious matter is the fact that all y'all have come from your different ways and your different places, and you are here today. And God is pleased about that. He's happy about that.
Yes.
So as I close, I'm not going to hold you long, but as I close, I just want to share a quick poem with you to encourage you and to keep you all going in the way that you're going as the Moses family, and that you may have many more family reunions. There's a poem by Edgar A. Guest called See It Through. And it goes like this, and this is for the Moses family. When you're up against the trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin, set your shoulders. Place your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge, do the best that you can do. You may fail, you may conquer. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile. When with trouble, you'll beset. But just remember you are facing just what other men have made. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high, to the promise, see it through. To the Moses family, I encourage you that no matter what circumstances, what situations come, you all continue to see it through. God bless you.
All right, let's give it to Mr. Trevor Jackson, please.
Let us pray. God, in Christ Jesus, we thank you, God, for the fellowship of the Spirit. We thank you for your grace and favor that abound in our lives. Heavenly Father, God, in the name of Jesus, I pray that you will anoint the fellowship today. Heavenly Father, we come together in unity and strength, God. We give you glory and honor. And God, bless the food we're about to receive. Let it be strengthened and nourishment to our physical body for Christ's sake. And God, we pray that Christ be glorified, that you be magnified in this place, as you're glorified and magnified in heaven, that no flesh will ever glory in your presence. All God's people said amen. Amen.
How's everybody doing? Hi, James Brown. This is a song that I think is a testament to all that we feel during this celebration. And the name of the song is My Tree.
Economic equality of sex. You wake up about it, post up about it, flossing on that habit, this diamond habit, my diamond habit, this rock habit, my rock habit. I woke up like this, I woke up like this, with chocolates, ladies. I woke up like this, I woke up like this, with chocolates, ladies, ladies. looking so crazy. Come in at 6 in the morning. Where you been, where you been? Who is that texting your phone? Just a friend, just a friend. Okay. How would you like it if I do the things you do? What? But you want some kind of discussion and take you through. What? How would you like it if I do the things you do? What? But you want some kind of discussion.
Hey girl, bring it back.
How would you like it? How would you like it? How would you like it? How would you like it?
Hey girl, bring it back.
How would you like it? 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 Would you like it?
Back, girl, bring it back.
Taste of your own medicine.
Hey girl, bring it back, 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 back. Hey girl, bring it back, 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 back. Hey girl, bring it back, 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 back. Hey girl, bring it back, back, back.
How would you like it if I do the things you do? What you won't do, not disturb and entertain you. I'm crazy and you never have a clue. Here's another night, everything that belongs to you. I'm a color bride, I'm a sister night, I'm a sixer and so I'm a leader. Don't get it twisted, I can play this game. How would you like it if I did the same to you, yeah.
Y'all ready? GSD! Y'all ready? Explosion! Boom!
And the first plaque is being presented to Mr. Eddie Lee Moses. For steadfast dedication as the foundation of our ancestry. What you have done is the only mirror by which we can see what we are. May God continue to bless your life for many years to come. We love and appreciate you. Moses Family Gathering Committee. And the members are Roger Joyner, Timio Smith, Julia Lewis, Millicent Creekmore, Deborah Bond, Victor Horn, Constance Corbett Mosley, Phyllis Howard, and Janet Davis. And Tony Moses. The next plaque is being presented to Edna, Charlotte, Moses McCarley for your faithful dedication, for your faithful, dedicated labors, your commitment to excellence, and your loving spirit. You are truly loved and appreciated. Remember that time is not measured by the passing of years, but by what one does, what one feels, and what one achieves. On behalf of the Moses Family Gathering Committee, I present this plaque to my aunt, Edna Charlotte Moses McCarley.
Margaret Whitaker here. Is there anyone here on her behalf that will receive the plaque? All right, wonderful. Would you come forward? This plaque is also being presented to Margaret Whitaker for her faithful, dedicated labors and commitment to excellence, her loving spirit, and she is truly loved and appreciated. Thank you. The plaque is being received by Barbara Bird. Now, is Ethel Sampson here? Ethel Sampson? Does anybody know Ethel Sampson? Yes, her sister's here. Christine Best.
Her sister is walking up.
You're receiving the plaque? Okay. I have Ernestine Best, who's receiving the plaque on behalf of Ethel F. Sampson for her faithful, dedicated labors, commitment to excellence, her loving spirit. She's truly loved and appreciated. Effie Bynum. Are you here, Effie Bynum?
I'm her cousin coming up.
We have a family member coming up and getting on board.
This plaque is being presented to Effie M. Bynum for her faithful, dedicated labors, commitment to excellence, and loving spirit. She is truly loved and appreciated. This is Minnie Dixon. She's the oldest. Effie is the oldest member of the Flowers family. Alberta Parks Covington, are you here? Or anyone receiving it on her behalf? All right, this plaque is being presented to Alberta Parks Covington for her faithful, dedicated labors and commitment to excellence and a loving spirit. She is truly loved and appreciated. And the plaque is being received by Edna Broadhurst, which is her sister. The last plaque is being issued posthumously to Janie McIntyre. Who's going to receive the plaque for Janie McIntyre? Her firstborn? Annie Jones is receiving the plaque for her mother, Janie McIntyre, for steadfast dedication as the foundation of our ancestry. What she has done is the only mirror by which we can see who we are. May God continue to bless the life of many years to come. We love and appreciate you. Thank you very much. And now let's hear all the plaques. Thank you very much. Sorry, Janet.
I have the honor of presenting a plaque to our fearless leader, Anthony K. Moses. This is a surprise to him, but the committee felt we worked so hard this year and he kept us on track, and it was hard work. So we wanted to acknowledge him and recognize him. So the plaque says, In recognition of your commitment to bring this family together, to celebrate our heritage, and for your steadfast leadership of the 2018 Moses Family Gathering Committee, may God continue to bless our quest and our roots and legacy. Respectfully presented this 14th day of July 2018 by the committee. And I'd like each committee member to stand so we know who they are. Roger Joyner, Hemio Smith, Julia Lewis, Millicent Creekmore, Deborah Bond, Victor Horn, Constance Coram, Corbett Mosesley, Phyllis Howard, and myself, Janet Davis.
Thank you very much. I just say one thing. We forgot to include Timothy Richardson as part of the committee as well. One thing, we had a point where we were trying to make sure that this happened, that we had enough funds to do it. So one day on the way to work, I got a call from Roger Joyner, and he said, this is important, we got to get this done. So Roger gave me a solid donation, about $5,000. And so it was important to him as it was to all of us. So this is great history to all of us for the work that we put in, to all of you all for finding what we wanted to do to help us get to the point where we can actually become a strong family. Thank you all.
We are recognizing the eldest of our family members, and right now the eldest of the Johnson family, which is represented through Henry, is Evangelist Carol Brian Smith. If you would please just stand and just remember that. Thank you.
Good evening, family.
Amen.
Before I give reflections of our history, I just want to say a few words in loving memory of our ancestors. You gave us the very best that you could. The memory of your faith, dedication, and strength will remain in our hearts forever. You know, knowing our family history is very important. When you look through the program, you know that our family has come a mighty long way. As you read this wonderful booklet of our history that Corey Mosley developed, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Let us remember our heritage, honor the present, and yes, let us secure our future. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Tony. You know, I've been attending one form or another of the Moses Reyes Sasser Family Union most of my adult life. So when Tony asked me to say a few words about reflection, I thought about it because when you say the word reflect, that means you look strictly at the past. But I've learned some things here in this reunion that not only want me to look backwards, I like to look present at what we've been doing here, and also look forward as well. But I will reflect a little bit back on our family. Henry Moses was my grandmother's father. And if she were here today, she would enjoy this because my grandmother used to love to get people together. And Once you in the room, she'd look at you with a big smile on her face. You wouldn't do too much. But she'd look at you and say, wow, look at my family. I'm so happy, I'm so pleased. And if she were here today, that's exactly what she would be saying to each and every one of you who would give you. So I appreciate it. But when I think about the word family reunion, maybe we ought to need to define that. I looked up the dictionary for the word family before I came in and talked about a husband, a wife, a mother, father, and a child. Maybe people living in a home. But then it gave this particular definition that applies to everyone here today. It says, a family is all persons considered as descendants of a progenitor. In other words, we all have a common ancestor. And that was Calvin Moses. So we all here as a result of that. And the word reunion has the root word unite. So we're talking about a commonality of purpose. So we're all here today as a united group, meeting together and to be united. Now, what's the reasons why we're here today at this reunion? Why do we come? Some of us would say, well, I came to Goldsboro because that's where it all started. That's when our roots started, and that's good. Some of us would say, well, I came to see some familiar faces. That's good as well. What about this one? I came for family fellowship, possibly to encourage someone. I appreciate that as well. And it was said a little bit earlier, some of us, maybe I hear people say, I just came to eat. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with that. So appreciate it. Because I know in my family, on our Moses side of the family, we love to eat. So nothing wrong with that. But what I was encouraged about this time that we want to utilize at this community, because we came here today and we were educated. Don't you agree with that? Look at all those wonderful presentations that we received today. So maybe we ought to try to incorporate some of those things in our future reunions. Well, the dietary presentation, the quilt presentation that gave us a historical perspective. DNA is great, the country of origin, and wonderful things. So what about that essential oil? They talk about the health benefits as well. So include those in our future reunions as well. I think that would be very well received. And I think we ought to also talk about networking. I'll be here, make sure you do some networking as well. Now, here's an exercise I want everybody to help with as well. I thought about this. How many of you haven't seen some of the people here for, let's say, a period of 5 years? Has anyone ever seen anyone for 5 years? You know someone here that you just haven't seen for 5 years? Any hands? Okay, I see a few hands. What about, haven't you seen some of the people here for 10 years? It's been 10 years since you haven't seen them. Okay, what about 15 years? I see a few hands as well. But guess what? If you haven't seen some of your family members, our family members, 15 years, that's entirely too long. Don't let that happen. I'm going to issue a challenge to everyone that's here today. Before you leave, secure the phone number, the name of the phone number, maybe somebody who you just met at this reunion. Maybe somebody you haven't seen for 15 years ago. Secure that phone number. And then make sure you call them. Keep in contact with them. Because at the next family reunion, when someone says, have you seen this person last 15 years? Or let's say 2 years. I would say, no, I've seen everyone. I've seen someone, I've called them, I've talked to them. Make sure you do that. That's your challenge. Then you're going to have fond memories of this family reunion as well as have something to look forward to the next one. And finally, all those ones whose names were mentioned for working on the committee to bring this here, they really deserve a round of applause. Honestly. I served as the chairman or the president of the Moses Reyna SAS reunion for a number of times. And it's a logistical issue to bring together such a large group. Now, we never had 260 family members attend an event. Look at the logistics of that. Bringing you all here, securing a hotel, a facility for you to have your meeting at, catering, music. It's just entirely a wonderful aspect of local empire. So again, Tony and Bill and the rest of you deserve a round of applause, and I appreciate it. So we all love each other, and we can wait for the next meeting.
I was told I had 2 minutes. And I thought this part of the program.
Can you keep talking to the mic. They can't hear back here because they got a lot going on back there. I apologize.
Okay, talk as loud as I can, and I'll be as quick as I can. I was asked to talk about our family. I am from also Henry Moses. Henry Moses was married twice. He was married to Eliza Sasser, and when she died in 1900, he then married Amy Ann Rayner in 1901. Now it's very interesting because he married Amy Ann Rayner in December of 1901, and his son Joseph married my great-grandmother that same year. So he had a son that got married the same year he married his second wife. So my grandmother, Sudie Bell Moses, who was born and raised here in Goldsboro, came to Philadelphia, single parent, and I have nothing but wonderful memories of my childhood. I am not going to talk long, but I have to say, I was encouraged all my life to be the best that I could be, and that it was important that I did all I could for my community. And I'll never forget my grandmother, who died very young at 56, always taking care of other people. When people came from Goldsboro, it was like, as a little girl, we had cleaned the chandeliers. They would sit me on the dining table because I could reach the chandelier, because she was so excited that her family was coming to Philadelphia. Many stayed with us for a long period of time until they could get on their feet, get jobs. It was the way we were raised as Moses, to take care of each other. And it is something I am so proud to have inherited. And when I look around this room and I see people that have been in my life all my life, I am just ecstatic. I will be 70 in 3 weeks. And I am so happy to see so many faces. And I have so many stories. And tomorrow maybe we'll get an opportunity for you to hear some of those stories about some of our family. Because one of the things I've tried to do is hold on to what I've learned. And I can tell you a lot about Goldsboro, and I've only been here once when I was 12 years old. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of Marion Moore, who is actually under Jesse Moses' tree, for those who didn't look at their photo, Jesse Moses was born in 1853 and 1940. Well, his first grandchild was Albert Moses. Well, Albert Moses also had a child named Albert Jr. He was born in 1923 to 1993. This lady that I'm representing, Marion Moore, is the grandchild of Albert Moses Jr. Here's what she's sent me to share with y'all. My grandfather, Albert Moses, lived in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. For some reasons, when I was 7 years old during the summer, I think that was when I became observant to the fact that adults don't communicate with children about their business. So I took mental notes of my grandfather because he was a soft-spoken, well-mannered, handsome, black-eyed man with soft, curly hair. He owned his own confectionery store that was next door to the home he owned on Cleveland Street. He also worked as a salesman in a men's clothing store, and it wasn't just any men's clothing store. The store sold some of the best and expensive suits in Rocky Mount. Every day when my grandfather goes to work early in the mornings, I would watch his every move because I wanted to get to know my grandfather. And during this time in the 60s, children were seen, not heard. He would brush his curly hair to the right side with a part on the left. Then he would walk out the door and walk across the street. They lived across from W.C. Holland School. And I would watch my grandfather walk down beside that school until he disappeared. The same way he left was the same way he appeared. I would watch him come home, go in his room, and come out with a different set of clothes on. He would wash his hands, and my grandmother had his dinner ready. We all sat down to eat after saying grace. I'm still watching my grandfather. He even ate quiet. In the back of my mind, I want to know, does he ever talk? I did find out later that he does, and he talks very intelligently. But he was always, to us, a man of few words, because he spoke with his eyes. I learned that when I misbehaved or did something I shouldn't have done, all I had to do was look at him, and I knew what was going on. He'd smile, and he shook his head to say, I've been watching you too. I also learned that people other than ourselves, he worked for, treated him with respect because he was an honest man and a trustworthy man, and they saw him as he was. He was loved by everyone he met and a stranger to no one. And I'm proud to have that Moses DNA in me. Now, I met this cousin, thankfully through Tony Moses, because he actually gave me the tools to find this lady. I hunted this lady down because her information led me to Virginia. And from Virginia, I was able to find her in Burgaw, North Carolina, which is near Wilmington. So me and my wife, one day, we took a trip, didn't even know this lady, and took a trip to meet our cousin. And you know, it was a family reunion for us, right then and there. And I invite each and every one of y'all to do the same. Find somebody you have never met, and go out and meet them, and see what enjoyment you can get out of it. And I hope y'all would enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you.